Hey guys, today we have Megan Hornsby from Toledo, and we're going to talk to her about how she got to where she is today in real estate, and then we'll go from there. So welcome aboard, Megan.
Hey guys.
You're listening to The Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way. So we always want to start way back when. We want to talk about like how you actually got started. So before, like, when you were like 3 years old, did you want to be a real estate agent?
It's always like sales has always been in my blood. My dad was in the car business, and before he was in the car business, he worked in a factory, and he was never able to make ends meet. We really struggled when he worked at the factory, but he really succeeded when he got into sales, and he started working at the car dealership selling cars in Toledo. And he would drive up from Fremont every day to sell cars. And so I got that sales mentality from him as a teenager. And then I started working with him at the car dealership in high school. So I really got the sales mentality and basically just how to talk to anybody. So I started getting interested in either cars or real estate in essentially high school. And this was a time where we would drive to Outer Banks for vacations during the summer. And I would always read those vacation rental real estate books. Do you remember those from like the 90s where nobody would get online? So it was like, okay, let's look at these houses, and they were big and beautiful, and I had never seen any like those. So I started getting into real estate, just looking at those books, and then cars as well, and knew that I would probably end up somewhere in sales.
Yeah, well, actually, speaking of those books, they have a couple of years ago when I was up the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, they actually have like one for up there. And I was like, do people still look at these?
I know. It reminds me of like the real estate agencies in certain like sleepy beach towns where they'll post listings on paper, like in their office. And I'm like, do people really like come to the office to see what is currently listed?
Do you got it on the billboard up there in the grocery store?
Yeah. Just like shopping cart advertising. It's like, do people really still do this?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of the advertising, we have one person in our town that I've seen, they do the bench ads, and I see them everywhere from the same person. I was like, do people look at those?
Yeah, I know. I'd be like curious, like if you did an interview with them and say, okay, you do this type of advertising, does it work?
Yeah.
You know?
Has anybody called you?
Yeah. Has anybody called you and said, hey, I saw your face on the bus bench ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to list my house.
I sat on your face at the bench.
Yeah. Yes. I wonder if that works or not.
Yeah. Okay. So did you, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay. So I was the first of 3 girls, and my family was pushing college just because my dad went into the military. My mom went into, she did an associate's degree. So they were like, you need to go to college for something. And so I figured that I would be in sales in some capacity. And I ended up going to UT thinking that I would get into business. So I would say business and sales always, but it's hard when you're like, I was a young senior. I don't know if you guys were 17 or 18 when you graduated, but I was young. So I really didn't know specifically, like most kids don't, what I wanted to do. So I just started broad business, and then ended up getting a degree in communication. But the funny thing is, when I was a sophomore, I asked my parents if I could drop out and sell real estate, because that's how interested in it at the time I was. And and I was already racking up student loan debt, partying all the time, not sure what I wanted to do, nearly failing out while working. I was still working at the car dealership. And they were like, no, we need you to graduate college. So you need to finish. I don't want you to get it. They didn't want me to just quit, 1 or 2 years in, even though then I knew that I was interested in real estate. So
are you glad they made you finish?
As far as the experience, it was a great experience. And it's funny because in 2017, I spoke in Chicago at the NAR conference about how real estate helped me pay off my student loan debt. So basically, I did not take their advice. And I did graduate college, but I went into real estate a long time, many years later. I got into real estate when they told me again to stick with my 9-to-5 job. And I just thought, I'm never going to get out of this debt, and I'm never going to not live paycheck to paycheck. And I know that to most people, the American dream is having a W-2 salary position that, you're comfortable with. But I was bored. I was extremely bored in my 9-to-5. And so I kind of just gave it all up and was successful within the first couple of years in real estate and paid off like over $40,000 worth of debt from the University of Toledo within my first 3 years of being licensed.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, so going back to, I knew it was either going to be real estate or cars for sure. For sure. And if real estate goes to hell, I'll just go ahead and sell cars. And people always need to buy something, right? They either need to buy a house or a car. It's never going to fully go away. But
Yeah. Did you sell cars at all?
no, so I did customer service. So I would legit sit at Matthews Ford and I would call anybody that came in and got an oil change or any type of service. And I would ask them like if they would be in the market to buy another vehicle soon. It was called like a CSR. And I would get a spiff if I actually like called somebody who got service or called somebody who bought a car and asked them for referrals. And if they came in and bought a car, I would get like, that was my first taste of commission. So I would make myself these like random goals at 17 or 18 years old. Like, okay, I can, if I get 4 people to come in and buy a car at $250 each, that's $1,000. And that's so much money. And, I have to make these like monthly goals.
Yeah, that's awesome. So have you been doing goals like your whole life? Because I know like when I was younger, I did a lot of goals, things like that. Have you been always like goal oriented?
Yeah, I would say so. And I don't know if I really stick to it or not. It's kind of like I go, you go where you're passionate. Like I can tell that you're passionate about window still, and I love you guys and you've really helped my business so much. So I think it's just your goal kind of intertwines with what you're really wanting to accomplish. And it's easier when you're motivated to take the steps. So.
Yeah, awesome.
So you have 2 kids, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And you're a busy realtor.
Yes.
How do you balance that?
It's hard. It's really hard. So it's overwhelming. I felt really burnout, especially at the end of 2020, like I think most people are. Mm-hmm. It was especially hard this year, having to teach school. I absolutely hated it. I'm not a teacher. I did a disservice to the kids and to my clients and to my career and to everybody's sanity. It was horrible. I mean, I don't know. Other people seem to have less of a hard time with it than me, or I don't know. It was hard. And
did they do the homeschooling?
Yeah. We were stuck doing virtual for several months, and they just went back to full time in the beginning of January, and they're 6th grade and 4th grade. And in the beginning of 2020, my only goal for the most part was to outsell 2019. And when the pandemic happened and I had to start teaching school during the middle of March or April, when we'd normally be the most busy, I was bummed because I'm like, okay, well, there goes being able to outsell, and there goes my goal of being able to do that. So instead of focusing on like listing clients and buyer clients, I focused on flipping because I felt like I could kind of do flipping on my own time. And so we ended up doing 5 flips last year compared to only 1 in 2019. So I pivoted, and then I still ended up selling more in 2020 than I did in 2019 overall.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. When did you start flipping? You said in 19?
So we did our first house in 2014, which was the first year that I was licensed. Yeah. And then we bought our first investment property in 2013. So.
Awesome. Have you been doing, how many have you done so far? Like, do you do like 1 a year or something? Or do you do because you did 5 last year?
Yes. Last year was the most. 2019, we did 1. And before that, we would do like 1 or 2 a year. So it was never as many as we did last year. We kind of use a formula where we buy 1 flip per every like 4 or 5 rentals normally. But last year, I think we bought 8 rentals and we did 5 flips. So we really amped it up. But I'm huge on like improving Toledo neighborhoods. I take a lot of commission and I'll save it up. I'll reinvest it either into like a package of homes or 1 house to flip or rehabbing a couple of the houses or whatever. But I always dump the money back in.
Do you focus on like a certain neighborhood at a time?
So we have a couple that are on the same street. It was neat because I think last year or 2 years ago, we bought 2 side by side, which was kind of cool. And I do, like you guys have probably seen me on social media. I do a lot on social media. So we do different contests. Like in the past couple of years, we've done like funny rehab contests where I'll have a house and my husband will have a house and we'll see who does the better rehab or whatever. So that was always fun. We were too busy to do something like that in 2020 to have 2 flips going at the same time. But it was last year was different with it, but it was definitely good. I love the design aspect of it. So
who won between you and your husband the contest?
In 2019 he won, and in 2018 I won, and in 2017 I think he won again. Yeah.
Oh dang.
So maybe we'll do one in 2021. But
yeah, you have to beat him again.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. And it was all because I put sage green cabinets in my my rental, but they were in. It didn't catch to Toledo like I was before the time of it being popular, I guess.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Did you go to flipping because the market was lower, or what got you into flipping?
It was more so something that would light my fire. Like I kind of felt again that I was getting really burnt out by just real estate in general, just helping buyers and sellers. And I thought, okay, what can I do to, reinvest and really light my fire and be passionate. And I love before and after. And even the houses that I sell, that I list for people, I love when I give the sellers a list and they complete it. Then we have the pictures done and I'm like, wow, this looks so much different. This looks so much better. So it's just really, I'm passionate about the design side a lot. I really like designing them. I really like bringing back houses that other people have passed up. Like one of the houses that we did last year, the agent called and it had been on the market for like 200 days, which is crazy in the market that we're in. And he was like, you're the only one that would be able to rehab this house. And it was built in 1900 and it was in our neighborhood. And he's like, so, please go see it, take a chance on it, whatever. And then when I posted to Facebook that we bought it, everybody was like, oh my God, you're doing that house. Like it should literally be torn down. And we saved it. And then we put on like the mommy page, like, hey, we're going to do a COVID friendly open house. Come and check out this house. It sold off market right away. And so that was like really fun and really fulfilling, I think.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. I want to go look it up.
Yes. Yeah. And we got a really cool buyer. And I love like following people that we sold the houses to on Facebook and see like how they're decorating them and bringing kids home or pets home or whatever. It's cool. So. Yeah,
I feel like especially with a flip, that's like your baby.
I know it is.
Like
it is. But it's so stressful. People like I get people that reach out all the time and they're like, I want to invest, I want to do a flip, and but I work full time, or I don't have any seed money, or I've never done it before, or I need help finding contractors. And I'm like, it's hard to get started. I mean, we did like hard money stuff when we first got started, and it's extremely stressful. Everything goes wrong, from systems breaking down to somebody breaking in to contractors not showing up. I mean, there's like always something that goes wrong. And so you cannot be fully reliant on it for income, in my opinion. And it's not for the faint. But
yeah. Do you work with the same group of people when you do flips? Like last year when you guys did 5?
Yeah, generally, we do work with the same people for the most part. I was in property management before I was a real estate agent, and that was like 2010, 2011. And believe it or not, like, do you know Joel Williamson? He's a realtor. He owns a painting company, but we met back in 2011 and he's just painted the house that we're flipping today. Nice. So I still use a lot of the same contractors and same people that we used 5 years ago, just because we're now used to knowing that they're going to do a good job and there will be less surprises. So,
right. Yeah. You always want someone who's going to be reliable.
Yes, that's the major thing. Is people are always like, I'm looking for a reliable contractor who's cheap, and I'm like, like you could pick like one of those things, like either contractor or reliable, or like cheap and reliable, but to get all three, that's going to be a stretch. That's going to be a stretch.
That one person just like, nope, no one's getting that person.
I know. Yeah,
you're stuck with one place. Yeah. Okay, so
you get somebody good, hang on to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, understand that one. Okay, so let's go to Okay, so back in, you said 2014 is you got your license.
Yes.
Have you been with the same like kind of brokerage the whole time, or what? How'd your first year go?
It went good. So that if we back up again, so after graduating from UT, I moved out of state and I got into property management and then moved back to raise the kids. Mm-hmm. And that was when I was still in property management, and I connected with an investor who owned probably 200 houses in Toledo. And I was like, well, I'm in property management. Like, I can buy houses. I just don't have any money. But if somebody will mentor me, like, I'm ready. And this was 2013. And so Aubrey, my husband, and I, we had a house in Perrysburg. It was our first house. And we lived paycheck to paycheck. Like, if we had $100 left at the end of the week after both of our full-time jobs, we were happy. I mean, we were paying daycare and mortgage and credit cards and student loans. So I was just like, what if we get a home equity line? Let's get a home equity line, see if we can put a 30-year mortgage on a rental. And he was like, okay, fine, let's do it. I trust that we know, I know how to manage it or whatever. So I linked up with this investor contact I had this investor contact who owned all those houses, and he let me work with his realtor, who is an agent with RE/MAX. And his realtor was the one that got him into investing. And I'll never forget the first time I was like riding in the car with this realtor, and I felt like really nervous. I mean, I wasn't even 30 and I had no money. And he goes, point blank, he's like, I'm going to take you out to see 5 houses. And he goes, and you're going to write an offer on one of them. And if you don't, I'm not going to work with you. And I was like, oh,
pressure's on.
Yeah. Like, he was like, I'm dead serious. He goes, I don't normally take on probably people that don't have any money, But yeah. He was like, I'm going to tell you what to do. And he's like, and you're going to write an offer on something. And that's kind of like how my dad was in the car business. Like, he's like, look, if you're going to walk in and you want to drive 10 cars, I don't care. As long as you buy a car with me, I'm happy to spend the time with you. And so I kind of base my business like that now as well. So anyways, we ended up putting a 30-year mortgage on a $30,000 house. A 30-year, like, yeah.
What was the mortgage on that?
It was like $213 a month. Because again, I mean, and that was a ton of money, and it was a huge risk to us then. It was a huge risk because we were like, okay, what happens if the tenant doesn't pay? What happens if the furnace breaks down? What happens if it gets destroyed, or, we don't have enough money to rehab it or whatever, and this was a pretty turnkey house. But basically it took like a year. There was like a year lag between wanting to pull the trigger on buying investment properties and then actually doing it. And so in 2013, I'm still not licensed. I'm still working 9 to 5, and we have one rental. And then I keep telling my mentor, like, okay, how do I get another one? What do I do now? And he's like, well, either save up the rent or use the rest of your home equity line. So 6 months later, we bought our second rental. And then 6 months after that, we bought our third rental. And then in that same time period, my husband's best friend wanted to start buying rentals. My sister's husband wanted to start buying rentals. My cousin wanted to start buying rentals. And I was like, hey, what if I was licensed? I could sell rentals to everybody that I know and help them place their tenants if they need it. And then everybody's happy and I can collect those commissions. So I approached the realtor that I was working with RE/MAX, and I said, hey, you've been so good to me. Him and his son, who's also a real estate agent, and they're actually from the Lambertville, Michigan area. And I said, can I be on your team? Like, if I get licensed, like, will you guys help me? I don't care if you take some of my commission. Like, I just want you to help me get my deals closed. I don't want to work 9 to 5 forever. And they were like, sure, you can, get licensed. You can be on our team. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you started with RE/MAX, and you're still with RE/MAX, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. With RE/MAX now. And then I have a team that I started in 2017. So Hornsby Real Estate Group, which is a team at RE/MAX, was started in 2017.
Oh yeah. Tell us about your team.
So it's evolved over time, because you get basically, and this is always what happens. Like, if you have people that want to be on your team, eventually they're going to want to go out on their own, just like I did with my mentor. And we still maintain a great, fabulous relationship. We still hang out with his son all the time, and I'm actually in Florida right now with the mom. so we're still like very close. So you make all these really good relationship connections. But my team right now, we have an admin named Brendan, and he is hopefully going to get licensed. He helps with my property management, because we have so many rentals, dot loop transactions, follow-up postcards, signs, things like that. And then Nikki Wolf is a really good friend of mine. She's has an interior design degree, and she got licensed, I believe, in early 2018, and she kills it. Like if I send her a buyer lead, I know that she's going to close them, and that's literally so important. Like I know that they're going to give her a 5-star review. I know that they're going to love working with her, and so if I'm overwhelmed and I pass leads to her, I know that they're going to be taken care of. So she's our buyer's agent.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, once, like you said, once you know that when you send her something that you're good, it's once you find that right person, you're like, I'm set. This really helps me out.
And I'm sure I will still send her leads when we're not a team for sure. And we'll still do that kind of relationship, but she kills it. I mean, eventually you're like, hey, I loved you as my mentor, but I'm ready to be on my own. And I fully know that that's coming. So
yep. Good for you.
Yeah.
I like it. Are you planning on expanding the team some more?
I don't know, because I got really, really burnt out last year.
Yeah.
I would say more so than expanding the team, I'm looking to get my license in Florida. Nice. That would probably be my next venture. We have a flip going right now, so I want to, I'm working on that for 2021. I'm actually designing a house in Florida right now, so that's why I'm here. Nice. So kind of working on that. But that, I would say more so than expanding the team, that would probably be my next step. And I hope to continue working with Nikki on the buyer side. And I love the listing side. As you know, I always call you guys for pictures.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Where at in Florida are you?
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, nice. We got something coming for Florida.
What do you got?
Well, I can't tell you it on the podcast yet, but it'll be within days. It'll be when days of this being posted. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna call you guys to do pictures. If I get listings down here, you'll have to fly down.
Well, since we're this far, we opened up Florida location.
Awesome.
And
that's
awesome. We got 3 of them. And
what part?
Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. So
okay.
That's kind of the areas we're at, and just pretty much everywhere in between.
Yeah. So are you gonna buy a place down here?
That's the plan.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's like a Midwest hub. I feel like there's so many Midwesterners down here, and I always fly out of Toledo. I just fly Toledo, and literally I'm door to door in 4.5 hours. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, because I'm actually a pilot too, and we used to fly down there.
Oh, that's cool.
A couple times, but I know we go down there, like me and my wife and my little one go down there every year for about 3 weeks. Every year between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Do you guys go to Tampa, St. Pete area, or where do you go?
We go to Daytona Beach. One of the pilots that I know has a house down there, and we just go use that or just rent that from him for pretty much. I mean, this year he's like, you can go from Thanksgiving to Christmas, however long you want to go. I was like, sounds good.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I know, I like it because my wife likes it because it's like right by the beach, so she just loves just going out to that's like her favorite part. So I think when we get pick a house down there, it'll be somewhere near the water because that's like her favorite part. And
do you guys have kiddos too?
Yeah, just one little one.
Aw.
So she loves the beach too.
I know, it's so great to say, oh, I got to go to Florida for spring break or Thanksgiving or whatever. It's like always just lasting memory. Yeah,
I was actually, since when this call started, I saw, because I could see outside your window, and I thought those were palm trees out there.
Yes.
And I was like,
it was cold today. It's not like Ohio cold, but it was like 60.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 13 here this morning? 14?
Yeah, it was really cold.
It was one of the coldest days we had in a while.
They always know that like I'm from the Midwest because I'm the only one wearing shorts.
Yes.
So like yesterday I met with a builder, and he was like, so shorts, huh?
Are they in winter coats?
Oh yeah, they're like full on like hoodies and like warm pants or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even care. I'm going to wear shorts. I'm going to go to the beach. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, you're going to get your license in Florida. You got that coming up soon. That's pretty exciting. Any other states you ever wanted to get your license at?
So the only thing I ever talked about was Michigan. So I kind of told her, hey, if you want to get licensed in Michigan, I'll do Florida. We'll send referrals back and forth. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it seems like logically a lot of agents get licensed in Michigan too, because it's so close.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I just have a full plate with trying to run
Oh, then
all
what you
these
got
things.
going on? You got a lot going on.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yep, for sure.
Let's see. What do you enjoy most about most people are gonna say they enjoy getting the person the house, but other than that part, what is your most enjoyable part about real estate? Besides getting somebody a house. Besides that
I
part.
getting somebody, yeah. So and now I've kind of shifted where I'll work with people who are buying and selling, and I'll work with more listings than anything. But like I loved yesterday where I had a listing that you guys shot that was on the market for 2 days, and the sellers were discouraged in the market that we're in because they had so many showings and they only got one offer after everybody saying, you know, the pictures look beautiful. We were killing it with marketing. And they, you know, had all these showings. We did an open house on Saturday and on Sunday. We got one offer and it was really low.
Wow.
And so they were bummed. And so I said, you know what? Let me go back. I'm going to go back to every showing that we had. Like, give me 24 hours. Don't respond to this offer. Let's wait. And I went back to everybody else that went through the house. And I was like, let me see if I can get something else to pop. Well, we got another offer from somebody who was willing to offer top dollar, because I don't know how many specifics I'm allowed to give.
Yep.
And they had I'm sure it'll be closed by the time this airs, hopefully, but they had an appraisal waiver, which is huge if you guys are familiar with those.
Yeah.
So, and especially in this market where things are selling so high, to take that stress away from the seller where they don't have to worry about the appraisal piece or the inspection piece or the financing piece is literally huge. So I couldn't wait to make the call. Like as soon as that offer came in, I was like, "Oh shit!" You know, so
I got it. You're like, I got it.
Yes, and I always like to like tease the sellers a little bit too, or whatever. And I'm like, call me at your earliest convenience, and they don't know if it's good or bad. Good or bad. And then I call them, and I'm like, "Guess what?" And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "We just got an offer. You know, however much."
Yeah.
Amazing.
They're probably so nervous to call you.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're always nervous. And then like you literally hear them like it's like an audible sigh, and they're like, oh my God. Like, because it's totally a 180 from what they felt the day before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's crazy to think that people get discouraged after nothing popping within like the first day or two, because usually you want like 30 days of solid activity. So, you know, expectations are really high right now when you get any listings. So I would say like my why currently with sellers is just being able to make that call and saying, here's what we got for you. You know what I mean?
That's
so
awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. We just sold our house. It was probably a couple months ago. It was in 2020, and we got a new one. I remember getting it. We had so many offers. And
Michigan's even crazier.
Yeah, we went on, and our house was kind of like a more desirable one in the area, and it was we listed it kind of low, just kind of doing it on purpose, just so we can get a ton of attention, because we just went on vacation that weekend. We're like, it's gonna be sold no matter what. Don't tell me about anything. We'll just come back Sunday night. Just tell me what we got then.
Yeah, I know that's really such a smart thing to do, because or else your weekend and your real estate agent's weekend is psycho. So it's good to list. Like statistics show that most people get on Thursday night, Friday morning. We try to time our listings to hit right around then too. Get one or two open houses in over the weekend, and then say, you know, we're going to present offers or ask for a highest and best on Monday. That way, a lot of people can go through, everybody can breathe, and then it's like, wow, look at what we got. You know, this is amazing. So
yeah, that was our experience. I know that our first house we bought I think we had that for 5 years or so. It was a whole different market back then, where it was just like where we bought it and like we had no clue what we were doing. But now we're like in the industry now, we just know kind of what to expect now, and it's just like, okay, list my house. I know it'll be sold in a couple of days.
I know. Well, I feel so bad. Like going back to when we bought our first house in like 2010, 2011, I was probably the worst client for that real estate.
Yes.
He probably showed us like 30 houses. Our budget was all over the place. We were like, Sylvania, Perrysburg, we don't care anywhere. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. Like, who cares if it's 20,000 over what we're pre-approved for?
Just want to see it all.
We want to see it. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, that is a nightmare client.
We did the same thing our first one.
And now you feel bad, you know, just because you know what you put them through.
But that's always like I think that's like the standard for a first time home buyer.
I know. Yes. And it's a lot of hand holding, and that's totally, I mean, fine and to be expected. And you just have to have more patience, and it always works out.
But
So
once they come back to you for the second time, they're just like, boom, boom, 5 houses
yes,
done. Offer. There you
yeah.
go.
Or it's literally like, I'm going to send you the dot loop. You know what to do. And they're like, click, click, sign. I trust you. The end.
Yeah, it's like so much faster. I just remember our second time at going at getting the houses it was like, I think we may have looked at like 4, and we're like, well, we missed out on like one of them, and then we already knew the neighborhood. We were just they just kept popping up so fast in the neighborhood, and they were selling so fast.
Yeah.
And like speaking of the photos, it was actually one. Here's how you find a house. You just go find the house with not the nice photos, because you know there's gonna be no other offers on it.
Yeah. Yes. I know.
So
true.
That's how we got this one. All the ones in the neighborhood sold over asking above and sold like within a day. And then ours, the one we got, was like a lot nicer than all the rest of them, and there was no photos, and we were the only offer. It was like, yeah.
And usually people think that if there's no interior photos, it's bad. So like we actually bought a house that I was like, maybe it's a rare unicorn, you know, and for whatever reason, the older agent didn't want to put any pictures of the inside, and then you're surprised and you're like, oh wow, let's make an offer on this. But I mean, to me, bad pictures, cell phone pictures, is really a disservice to the seller, because you want to really present their property as best as you can. Yeah. So
awesome. What is your favorite part about like what's your favorite thing to like market? What's your favorite way to market right now? I guess I should say.
So I get the majority of my leads on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's the only place that I market. And like, I would rather work with people that I somewhat have relationships with, or people that feel like they know me through social media or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I want to be myself, like this, like with you guys. Yes. I want to be myself. I don't want to work with a Zillow lead or something that I don't know, who doesn't have any loyalty to me, who might be super wishy-washy. Like, you know, I want to work with people through Facebook that know that I'm busy, that I have kids, that I'm going to get to the point, that I'm going to get them the most money for their house. Those are the people that I want to work with. And so I market through Facebook in order to build relationships, even if we're not meeting in person right now because of COVID, but you can build a relationship through Facebook. And then when you meet, it's not so awkward. There's a loyalty there to each other already. You know what I mean? Because you see their life online. So
yeah.
When you first started, how was your marketing, and how is that? Like, now you use Facebook. Have you always used Facebook?
So I would say, yeah, I did. Like when in 2014, I was one of the I would say on the younger side of licensed agents. Like when I would do all these research on, you know, stats, right? They were like, okay, the average agent is a 55-year-old woman who mails out postcards, does direct mailings, farm neighborhoods, goes after expired, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to call people that don't want to talk to me and cold call. And I felt like I was back in the car business again. So I was like, how can I market to my generation, my neighborhood? You know, and a lot of the business my first year was maybe connecting with people from my past. Like, I would let people know, hey, I'm back in Toledo. I'm a licensed agent now. And it was just constantly reminding them through social media that I was selling real estate. I'm licensed. I'm selling real estate. I won this offer against 3 other people. Oh, my husband and I went to this, you know, the REMAX conference here. So I just think that it's easy to market if you're constantly reminding people that you're licensed over consistently talking to people that don't want to talk to you. So the first year I started Facebook, Instagram. I actually did a blog for a while too. We were rehabbing a house that we found a time capsule in 2014, and so sweet. I wrote several. Yeah, it was super cool. It was this house was built in the 20s, and I got the whole story behind it. And it was one of the first rehabs that we did, and I got like some sort of a following through Facebook and doing the blog. And so I just kind of continued it because it worked. And truthfully, I enjoy it. I enjoy following other people on Facebook, whether they're in real estate or not. I just enjoy social media in general. So
nice. What kind of advice would you give to a new agent?
I would say, and I say this to agents all the time, it's going to be hard for you to be successful if you do not have a mentor, and probably, and people might not like this, but that you're not on the team. I know that there's things, you know, some people may not want to be on a team, and I get that. I do not think that I would have been successful if I was not on a team. as a new agent, because your brokers, all these brokers in Toledo are great people and they're really good at what they do and they've been in the industry for a long time, but there's so many different agents. So if you have somebody that you can call before you call your broker, and you can call your mentor and say, hey, this roof, the inspector said, like one of my first deals, the inspector says the roof only has 3 years left on it and the buyer wants $15,000 off. What should I do to keep this deal together? Because this is what I need this to close to feed my family.
Right.
And if I didn't have my mentor there, there's no way that and a lot of my other deals would have closed. They would have fallen apart because I didn't know what I was doing and I wasn't fully trained. You know what I mean? And you get trained by doing transactions for sure. Mm-hmm. But I would encourage any new agent to honestly get a mentor, or even if you don't want to mentor and you don't want to be on a team, get another newer agent and become buddies with them and do lunch with them once a week and see what they're doing. You know what I mean? Or hear their stories of transactions that they had that were bumpy that you can learn from.
Okay. So. Nice. What would you advice-wise give to a new client? I know this year a lot of people have been afraid to buy.
Yeah. There's a couple different, can you hear me still? Good. I don't know if my phone's dead or, can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. Yep.
I just got really weird feedback for some reason. For new clients, I would say don't even think about going to look at any houses unless you have a pre-approval in hand. Mm-hmm. Most listing agents now put verbiage into listings like, follow COVID guidelines, make sure that you only primary buyers. We put that in all of our listings. Pre-approved, they have to be pre-approved. So, and we also tell clients that it's good to drive by. So it's like, we don't want to put sellers out of their house in January in Ohio during COVID, unless we know that you're a bona fide buyer and potentially that you've already driven by and you're really interested in the house. And then we also, like, you remember that saying in so many sales where it's like the house that you looked at today and are going to offer on tomorrow is the house that somebody else looked at yesterday and is offering on today. Mm-hmm. That's great advice for a new client as well, because it's insanely fast and it always happens. And people always think we're bullshitting when you see a listing that sat on the market for 100 days and then your client writes an offer and then all of a sudden there's multiple offers and you're like, what? Literally, that always happens. Always happens. So it's just be ready, expect the unexpected, know that everything will happen for a reason. And you might only get one shot.
How is your inventory in your area? I know Michigan's kind of low. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read an article where it's like one house per every 8 buyers.
Wow.
Under 250. I mean, that's usually 250, 300 is probably the biggest competitive price range, just because if you think of Ohio people's household income, it's right around there too. So it makes sense, so you get all these, saturation, but higher end tends to stick around a little bit longer, I think. So, but otherwise terrible. There's no investment properties to buy either. So.
How many do you want to buy this year?
I don't know. I always just try to do better than what I did the year before. So I guess if we bought 8 rentals last year and did 5 flips, I would say that'd be really aggressive to do. I don't know if I can do that, but obtain the same amount of properties as last year or more would be good. And then I always want to sell more than the previous year too. So always the goals.
Yeah. Do you have any current flips you're working on?
Yes, we have one right now. It's it got painted today. It gets flooring tomorrow. The appliances got delivered today. So it's almost there. It should be listed like the middle of February, probably, hopefully. It'll be cute. I like to make them all really cute and different. I can always tell on flips if a girl designed them or a guy designed them.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah, awesome. Just one right now.
Nice. Well, we have one more question for you, and it has nothing to do with what we've been talking about.
Are you ready?
Is this off the cuff or like on the little list?
Oh, you'll find out.
Oh, boy.
Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
I don't know. Well, burgers aren't considered sandwiches, so I don't think so.
Okay.
That was pretty. We haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah.
I like the comparison.
One to everybody.
I like the comparison. We haven't. We're using the same one right now, but until we start posting them, we're gonna have to change it up. But we have a big list of them.
Yes, I like that.
Yep.
Big list of riddles.
Yep. Well, with that said, guys, we're all set. And Megan, what is do you want to leave anyone with any of the listeners with how to get your contact information or any last words?
Sure. I would say if you want to reach out to me, find me on Facebook. We have, I have a personal page that I post on a lot. I also have a business page. People reach out to me more so on the personal page all the time. I'm happy to give people reach out for design advice. I love that. They reach out for real estate advice or refer people. I love that too. So you can find me on Facebook, or my cell is 419-559-5699. Usually text is the easiest way to get a hold of me, but I would love to hear from you guys. And hello to all of my family. I love you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
Are these working?
All right.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review if they're listening on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.
Yeah.